Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I have some romance book recommendations for you, and today's video is going to focus on what is mostly known as cinnamon roll heroes, or just like those like really wholesome, sweet guys in romance books. So let's just get right into it. So the first book I want to talk about is one of my all-time favorites, and that is Archer's Voice by Sheridan. I feel like everybody is talking about this book now. I love this book. I always say this is my second favorite book after The Simple Wild, but I kind of feel like this might actually be my favorite book. But I just really love this one. This one follows Bree and Archer. Bree moves to this small town, and when she first gets there, she's at the grocery store and she bumps into this guy in the parking lot. And she sort of thinks it's weird because he's not saying anything to her. Like, she's talking to him and he's just not responding. And she's like, okay, this dude's like a little weird. And she kind of starts asking about him around the town, and everyone's like, oh, that's Archer, no one talks to him, he doesn't talk to anyone, like he's just kind of like the town weirdo. And she's kind of like, okay, I see what you're saying, but like, I don't know, I feel like this guy's not as weird as you're all making him out to be, kind of. And she sort of becomes like curious about him, and one day she is riding her bike, I think, down to the beach, and she has a dog, and the dog gets loose and runs into Archer's yard. She doesn't know it's Archer's yard at the time, but she ends up running into him again, and she knows a little bit more about him at this point, and things sort of go from there. I really love this one. Archer is probably, I would say, the most wholesome like book boyfriend in any book that I've ever read ever. He's just so sweet and innocent and just like really just wants to make her happy, I guess, and I think he's just really cute. Like I said, really love this one. Definitely one of my favorite books of all time. Definitely fits into this trope for sure. Next is Wait For You by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I believe this one's published under J. Lynn, and this one is the first in a series of interconnected college standalones. They're not all college though. About halfway through the series it moves to this like small town and focuses on those people, but the first couple books are on this college campus. This one in particular is about a girl who literally runs into this guy on the first day of classes, and he is kind of just like, whoa, okay, like I want to get to know you and whatever, and she's like super like doesn't want anything to do with him or anything, and he ends up living across the hall from her, so she ends up seeing him all the time, and he's just, they really have like a really good, in this one I think, like best friends to lovers evolution, because he is just like not giving up on her because she's like, no, I don't want to date, but he's like, okay, but like I'll be here if you do, kind of thing. And he's just really sweet in this one. He's always looking out for her. He is just like always there for her, and definitely has the sort of like cinnamon roll super sweet guy vibes to him. I really loved him as well. Next is another book by Sheridan, which is Most of All You. This one is probably my second favorite Sheridan book that I've ever read. This one follows a guy who, as a child, was kidnapped and basically like held captive for a bunch of years, and now he kind of has issues with people touching him and like being too close to him and different things. So he decides he's gonna go to a strip club to find a girl who hopefully he can like practice with, basically, and he's hoping that he'll be able to like physically get close to her and get over his like issues with all of that. And he ends up meeting this girl there, obviously, who works as a stripper at this club, and she's kind of like, no, like I'm not helping you with this, like I'm not the kind of girl for that, like if you want someone else, like that's fine, like I'll find you someone that can help you. He's like, no, like I want to do this with you. And she's kind of like, you know, she's anti-relationship, she's worried that he's gonna get attached to her, and it's just like doesn't want anything to do. But this guy in this book was just so sweet, and I just really love this one. Again, it definitely had those like wholesome, like he kind of had like a traumatic, obviously, issues in the past, so he doesn't want to really go too quickly with anything, and he's just very like concerned about like her and taking care of her and all these different things. And I just thought he was really sweet. He's always looking out for her, and she doesn't really have anyone like that in her life, and I just really like this one. Like I said, it's my second favorite Sheridan book. Really loved it. I think he definitely fits into the sort of cinnamon roll hero category. Next is Rookie Move by Sarina Bowen. This is the first in a hockey series, but they're all standalone, so you could just read this one. This one follows a guy who dated this girl in high school, and right when they were graduating, she broke up with him, and he's kind of always wondered why, and he's still like interested in her, and he doesn't know why she broke up with him. He was just like, you know what, I was always there for her, I always loved her, I still love her, like I just like did everything I could for her, and I don't know why she broke up with me. And he ends up, it's now like years later, and he ends up being brought on to the hockey team that she works for, and he doesn't realize at the time when he like agrees to join this team that her dad is the manager, I think, of the team, or the coach or something, like someone in a sort of head position within the team. And he is like, great, her dad hates me for some reason, like I don't know why, because I didn't even break up with her, and she broke up with me, like I don't know why they both hate me. And he's like all concerned that it's gonna ruin his hockey career, but he is just like so sweet, and he was just like genuinely like didn't understand what he did wrong that led to this girl breaking up with him. And I just really, really love this one. The series as a whole actually has a lot of really, really sweet guys in it, and I just really, really loved that. Next is Take a Hint, Dani Brown, which is the second book in the Brown Sisters series by Talia Hibbert. This one follows, obviously, Dani Brown, who ends up dating this guy. She's sort of fake dating him from her office where she works, I think. I'm pretty sure she's working, she's not in school. And he's like a security guard, and she ends up trapped in an elevator one day, and there's like all these pictures that get shown of him carrying her out of the building, and everyone's just kind of like, oh my gosh, like they're together, blah blah blah, and there's all this publicity around it. And he is working with all of these like charities, and so he's like, you know, this publicity could be really good for that, like I could use this to do that. And he's just like really sweet, and like they end up fake dating because he is hoping to make money for these charities, like it's not even for like personal gain, he's just like looking out for like all these kids and different things. And he was just really, really sweet in this one. I definitely think he falls into this category as well. Next is A Secret for a Secret by Helena Hunting. This is number 3 in the All In series, but again can be read as a standalone. These are all hockey romances, and it's actually a spin-off of the Puck series, but again, you don't have to read that to read these. But this one follows Kingston and Queenie. I know the names in this one are like so cheesy, but in this one the guy is like, you see him in the other books, and he is like, you know, he's gonna be that like wholesome like teddy bear of a dude, because even when they're out at the bar, he's like ordering a glass of milk, and he doesn't drive above the speed limit, and he's always big on like putting your seatbelt on and whatever. Like he is like just a hardcore rule follower. But he finds out something about his family and kind of goes off the deep end one night and has a one-night stand with this girl named Queenie, obviously, who he just thinks like, whatever, it's one night, like I'm just gonna do this and move on with my life. And then a couple weeks later, he ends up in his like team meeting for the season, and she is there because she is the general manager's daughter. And so obviously she's now going to be around, and he's like worried that it's going to get out that he had like a one-night stand with her, and he's just like super embarrassed about the whole thing. But he's also still kind of like obsessed with her. Like he's like, oh my gosh, I never thought I'd see her again, and here she is. But he, like I said, super wholesome. He's just like the nicest guy on the team. You see him a lot in the other books, like I said, doing things for other people, and just like his whole character is that he is like this really wholesome kind of dude. And he was just really cute. I thought he was really sweet. Next is Always Only You by Chloe Liese. This is the second book in the Bergman Brothers series, but again can be read on its own. This is another hockey romance. I didn't realize there were so many hockey books in this video, but this one follows a hockey player who again is sort of known as being the like most chill one on the team, I guess. He's in a Shakespeare club. He's just like doesn't believe in fighting on the ice. He's just very laid back and like likes what he likes and doesn't care if anybody else, you know, is into that, like his Shakespeare club. And he ends up sort of having like a crush on this girl who works there as, I think she's like a social media person. I'm not sure if she's like a manager or something, but she's working for the team, and they're not allowed to date the players in this specific book, so they're not allowed to get together. But he has had like this massive crush on her for years, and he finally starts kind of acting on it, and he's always looking out for her. He was just like super, super sweet, and just like always there for her even though they couldn't be together. And again, just like really fit that like super like cinnamon roll like cutesy kind of guy. And I really like this one. It's one of my favorites in the series. Next is The Remaking of Corbin, Wale by Roan and Parrish. If you've ever read Wolf Song by TJ Klune, this one sort of gave me the same vibes, but without all the werewolf stuff, obviously. But this one is about a guy who, I believe he's inherited his mother's bakery or something like that. He's gotten this bakery anyway, and he's working there, and there's this guy that comes in all the time, and he is always sitting at this table drawing, and the guy's kind of like, okay, like, what's this guy's deal? He comes in here every day, he orders like one thing and then sits here for hours. He doesn't seem to have anywhere else to go, like he doesn't seem to have a job or anything. And he's kind of getting interested in this guy and like why he's there and different things, but he also knows him from back when they were in high school. And so like he knows who he is, but he's not like sure what he's doing. And so slowly he starts like inviting him to help him bake things or like different things in the shop, and they grow closer together. This one was just like, I feel like they were both really sweet in this one, but especially like Corbin Wale specifically. He was just so sweet and like innocent, and just one of those like characters that sort of feels like nobody likes them, I guess, where they're kind of just like, oh, like, you know, I'm just gonna mind my own business because people don't want me around sort of thing. And so because of that, he's got that like wholesome, like, oh, I'm just gonna like leave everybody alone to do what they want and I'll like stay out of their way kind of thing. And he was just like really sweet, and I just like really, really loved him. And this book as a whole is really, really cute. If you haven't read it, I really love this one. It is obviously MM, and I just really thought it was really sweet. Next is Home Game by Odette Stone. This is the second book in another hockey series. I really didn't realize there was this many hockey books. But this one follows a guy who is sitting in a coffee shop, and a girl is sitting behind him, and he's trying to sort his receipts for his taxes. And she's kind of watching him do it, like, out of the corner of her eye. And she's like, hey, you know, you're, like, doing that wrong. Like, this should be there, and this should be over there. And he's like, oh my gosh, how do you know how to do this? Like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And she offers to help him for a little bit, and she's like, but I have to leave because I don't want to be late. And he's like, no problem, like, just help me for 20 minutes, like, whatever. And she's like, okay, fine. So she helps him, and then time gets away from them, and she looks at the time and panics, and is basically like, I have to go right now, like, I need to get out of here. And he's like, what the heck is, like, going on? Like, where do you need to be? Like, let me drive you. And so they get in his car, and he drives her to this intersection that she tells him to drive to, and he drops her off, and he watches her run up to a homeless shelter, and she gets turned away, and she starts walking down the street, and he's like, whoa, what just happened? Like, I don't know what's going on here. And he ends up like driving up beside her and saying, you know, what just happened? I saw you like go up there and they turned you away. And she's like, yeah, you have to be here by 8 o'clock or you don't get in. And so he's like, oh, and he like realizes that she's homeless at that point, and he's like, well, where are you going now? And she's like, well, I'll just go sleep in the 24-hour diner. They don't really mind, and like it's a lot safer than some of the other places. And he's like, no, like you should come home with me, like it's fine. Basically just thinking maybe like a one-night thing. And then he sort of is helping her just like save up money, I guess, because she's not worried about as much and she's able to work on other things. And so she stays with him for a little while, and he's just really sweet. He's really looking out for her. She's like kind of concerned at the beginning that he just wants to sleep with her, and he's like, seriously, like I don't care if that like ever happens, like that's not why I'm doing this, like I literally just want to help you. And he was just really, really sweet in this one, and was just like genuinely looking out for her at the beginning before anything like romantic even remotely happens. And I just really liked him, and I thought this book was really cute. Next is When in Rome by Sarah Adams. I really love this one. It is a small town romance that follows a girl who is a famous pop star and decides she just wants to kind of get away from everything for a little bit. So she decides she's going to go to Rome, Kentucky, and she shows up, and she ends up, her car breaks down in this guy's like front lawn. So he comes out, and he is like, what are you doing? Like, do you need help? Like, I can call a mechanic or something for you, like whatever. And she's like, there's no phone service out here and all this stuff, and she's just like ranting about how she's not going to get out of the car because he might kill her and like all this stuff, and she's worried he's going to recognize who she is. And he is just like, seriously, I'm not gonna like kill you if you get out of the car, like you can chill. And he's just like so sweet. She ends up staying with him because the whole town is kind of like conspiring to get them together, and it's really cute. He is really sweet in this one, and just kind of has been in a relationship that, you know, didn't turn out super well, so he's kind of like given up on love, and then this is like him kind of rediscovering love, I guess, and realizing maybe he does want to do it again. And I just thought this one was really cute. He was really sweet, like I said, and this one definitely fits into this category. I really, really loved this one. And so those are all of the books that I have for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below. I do new book videos every single week, and I will see you next time.